After a long day, sometimes all you want is something quick and easy to throw together for dinner, and that is where this guy comes in, Chef Bo Byrne. He's here in the 207 kitchen with us. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
For coming back in. What are we making today?
Today we're doing a classic meatball and marinara with a little rigatoni today.
Love. All right.
Change the pasta if you want something else.
Okay.
So getting started quick. This is a really quick marinara sauce. So you want to have your pan preheated with the oil. You want to see a little bit of that action going on. And we're going to throw our onions right into here and give those a little stir for me. And then after about a minute or two of the onions, we're just going to speed this up a little bit. We throw the garlic right in there as well, which we have right here. Throw a little bit of that garlic and oil back in like this.
Okay.
And then the next move is going to be to add our tomato, which we have just some plum tomato here from the can. And I typically use just a splash of water here to just make sure I get as much of this as I can out the side. A little bit of some salt and pepper. Like this.
And just keep stirring it all together?
And just let that stir together. And this, again, wants to kind of be aggressively cooking, medium to medium-high heat.
Okay.
And you want to start with this tomato sauce because it ultimately becomes the landing zone for these meatballs.
Okay.
So step one is get that going.
All right.
In about 20-ish minutes, that sauce is going to be to a point where it's looking about like this.
Okay.
It's going to reduce down, get a little bit thicker.
A little more watery.
Exactly.
Consistency.
Right.
Yep.
It's gonna break down a little bit, and then we're going to be able to put it through a puree with either the Vitamix or with an immersion blender, and this is ultimately where we're landing with this sauce. So once we then have cooked for 20 minutes, blended, then we're here in this pan.
Nice.
So I heated up a separate pan with some olive oil to start, and then as we go to make our meatballs, I start with putting a little bit of milk into the breadcrumb, and that's just gonna help soften up the breadcrumb a little bit and give us a little extra moisture. About 10 to 20 seconds of that in there, and just really quickly we're gonna add some dried seasoning, crushed red pepper, salt, pepper, some Parmesan cheese, an egg, some chopped parsley, right? And then we're gonna do a mixture of some beef and some pork.
Okay.
You could do just beef if you prefer, but I like the fattiness of the pork. It lends to a juicier meatball.
Nice. Okay, good to know.
So then this, you just really do like a therapy session and really just, go in here and beat this up really good.
Yep.
And after about, 3 or so minutes, everything will be blended just like this ball here. And then you could do a few different things. You could, once you go to portion it, you maybe use a little scoop like this, about 2-ounce balls. You could go ahead and you could put them on a sheet pan like this and bake these meatballs.
Yep.
They take about 10 minutes or so at about 400, 425, or you could put them under the broiler and flip them once or twice. What I do instead, I like to take them and put them right into a preheated pan like this and sear them. And the meatballs, when you sear them, they only usually sear on like 3 sides. They're hard to sear perfectly on 4 sides, so I almost like to say, do like a 3-sided sear on the meatball and use a real spatula as you go to flip them. Don't just use your tongs. Make sure that you can actually use something like this and get underneath them and keep that crust attached to the meatball so that they look like this.
Nice.
They take maybe about 2 to 3 minutes per each of those sides maybe, and then I just land them right from that state into our blended marinara sauce. And from there, they'll just finish cooking for about another 20 to 30 minutes. And you want to just stir them every 10 minutes or so to make sure that the sauce isn't sticking.
Now, can you overcook the meatballs if you're not careful?
It's possible, but again, by adding a little bit of that extra moisture from the milk and then from the pork, we're going to have a little bit of extra wiggle room, and we're not too terribly worried about that. So all these meatballs are doing their thing. We're just going to be able to focus on the next piece of the puzzle, which is this dish would ultimately be getting topped with some Parmesan cheese, this sauce 17 and meatballs, but it's going on top of rigatoni. So we need to just take our pasta here. I've got some boiling water that we did. And we're just going to put this back in the pasta for just a moment. Put this pasta back in the water to heat it up. And now, just give that, just give us a little bit of a stir here, just like this. And now we're gonna pop that right into the bowl. Just give that a good shake. Make sure we knock off some of that excess water. And then what I like to do when I plate these up, sometimes I like to take my sauce and I like to put it in another little container like this, and this allows me to pour it right over the top
That looks so
with some
good.
precision. So now we'll take some of these meatballs. That's
There
fantastic,
you
great
go.
portion. And we'll put some of these warmed meatballs right on top. You can see they're fairly large. So you
Yes.
might do 2, possibly 3 meatballs.
Depending on how hungry you are.
Depending on
of
how hungry you
course.
are. Okay. And then some of that sauce, like I said before, from this cup, it now makes it really easy to kind of come at it and control and put it over the top like so.
That looks so good.
And you could do spaghetti if you want. You could do penne, whatever your favorite
Yep.
type of pasta is. I recommend cooking it to al dente, which is probably about 10-ish minutes depending on the size of the pasta. So here we've got meatball alla marinara
Beautiful.
with al dente rigatoni, sauce about 20 minutes, meatballs about another 20 to 30, less than an hour. This is on the table,
Awesome.
homemade from scratch, and you'll love the freshness of this tomato sauce.
Oh, it's fantastic. And obviously you could reheat this if you want to just
This would
have it the next day.
this
but
would
you
be
could use
great
it as
great for
something else.
leftovers. You could bust up those meatballs maybe and put them on top of a pizza as an extra topper.
Yep,
Great
yep.
sandwich, meatball parmesans. One of my
Meatball
favorites,
subs.
meatball subs.
Can't go wrong
Love
there
'em.
at all. Awesome. Well, thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
whipping this up for us. We so appreciate it. If you want to try to make this for yourself, just head to the 207 section of our website and app, and don't go anywhere. We've got more of 207 for you right after this.